はじめまして。リムルテンペストの娘、シンシアです。
What's up, guys? This is the continuation of the Tensura web novel chapter 214, The Closed World. So without further ado, let's start the fun.
Honestly, I couldn't understand any of that stuff, but Diablo managed to pull it off. Even now, the spectators were probably thinking that he was brute forcing his way, but the truth was far from that. Looking at their reactions, the few who actually understood what was going on were probably only Benimaru and Mazari. Well, saying that they understood felt like a stretch. It's more that they didn't fully understand the inner workings, but could tell that something's up. It's probably a good idea to teach Benimaru about this afterwards, but would he be able to understand this? I have Seal with me, so there's no problems even if I don't understand this. The only support I could give him would be to get around that with fighting spirit or something. As expected, even if this was a closed-off world, within a barrier, it's not exactly able to withstand the full-powered single-instance burst of void energies, so some extent of adjustment was required. If you were to ask who could do this right after hearing the theory, Diablo was most likely the only one who was able to. As I watched Diablo's battle in the distance, Leon's injuries fully healed without me noticing. In the midst of it, I dumped all the work onto Seal. That's how much my motivation amounts to. If he was a Bishoujo, things would obviously be different. I could care less about guys, much less an Eichmann. It was honestly, motivation dropped. That was why, while in the middle of it, to fully resurrect, there is a need to turn him from his current state to that which is similar to Hero Chloe's almighty state and manage the flow of his holy aura. For that, I'll leave that to you. And so, I let Seal do all the work without any intent to listen to all the explanations. It was mostly into one ear and out the other, but I think it was some stuff about his hero core being damaged, so a substitute is needed. Reviving him normally would cause a drop in his combat abilities, so I chose to heal Leon without causing that to happen. What's with all the permissions she's asking me for? So I just diverted all that away with a Seal-sensei as cautious as always. But, when I looked at the revived Leon, I was half suspicious of my own eyes. Huh? Isn't it like he got strengthened a little too much? I almost shouted out, "See, Seal-sensei, just what did you do?" An analysis shows that he has become a demigod. Before this, Leon had generous amounts of holy aura inside of him. Now he has become the very holy aura that used to be within him. Simply said, he has become a spiritual entity. He didn't have a core now, so to adjust the flow of ki, he was remodeled to work without the need of a core. I see, that's not it. Though he wasn't hostile to us, why did you go and power up this fellow who wasn't exactly an ally? Well, I was the one who diverted the information away. Doesn't make sense for me to complain now. Good grief, it's all good if we don't antagonize him. In addition, the change was kinda forcefully done, so it's gonna take a while for him to become able to fully utilize his new powers. So we just need to finish up Velda, before it comes to that point. Well, things will work out somehow. I won't be letting this bother me. As I mused over such things, Leon began to regain consciousness. He slightly opened his eyes, looking at me. And, Shizu, hey, have you come to get your revenge on me? Somehow, he seemed to be going on with some half-asleep nonsense. If I were to be destroyed by you, then I shall accept. Now, do your worst. Leon prattled on. It looks like he is mistaking me for Shizu-san. That's mighty annoying. So, I threw Leon, whom I was cradling. Why should I care so much for someone who has fully recovered? Is that you, Rimuru? Finally woke up? You better thank me, worship me too. I see, so you are the one who revived me. I swirled my hair up and nodded. I practiced this secretly, a pose where I, supposedly, look awesome. Many thanks, Demon Lord Rimuru. Thank me more. He's properly thanking me. Guess I have nothing to worry about for the time being. As Leon and I were doing our short skit, Leon's followers in unison. Leon-sama. Thank heavens, you are all right. So, they all came over as they said that. Some were even bawling, but none of them were unscathed. I have already done so much, I'll just add this in as a bonus. I take out one full potion for each person, and break them on each individual. What are you? The surprised one said that, but then they noticed their injuries disappearing almost instantly. This is even more effective than magic, can't help that they'd be surprised. Right when all their injuries are healed, Demon Lord Rimuru-sama, this great favor you have given us, shall not be forgotten. All of Leon's followers got down on their knees, and lowered their heads to me. This kind of stuff doesn't really mean much to me. I feel slightly embarrassed, so I'm hoping they would stop with this formal stuff. Now that Leon has revived, and with his followers making a big fuss over this, naturally Benimaru and co. have noticed me as well. Rimuru-sama. Benimaru and Sue came rushing over. So you really were alright. See, what did I say? There was nothing to worry about. Isn't that what Zijin said? I'll have none of that. I believed from the very beginning. As expected, they panicked somewhat when news of my destruction reached them. Zijin noticed almost immediately. He was totally unfazed too. That my divine protection has not disappeared, which helped calm everyone down. Sup? You guys doing okay? I was thinking of getting Velda to lower his guard with this. Additionally, the plan was to smoke out any rebels too. I tried to smooth my way out with this explanation. But this was more than enough apparently. So that really was the plan, huh? As expected of Rimuru-sama. Now then, how should we, your followers, go about with this? Benimaru looked convinced, while Sue inquired for details with the intention to take action immediately. Now just hold your horses. There's still somebody smacking Footman around. Let's not forget about him. With my appearance, you guys are feeling either too relieved or too enthusiastic. Hold on a sec, we got to end the battle here first. Diablo, you all good there? I had been found by them anyway, no need for me to be reserved now. I decided to defeat Footman as soon as possible. Kufufufufu. The preparations are mostly complete, Rimuru-sama. Alright. I nodded, and walked towards Footman. Dang it, DAMNNNNN. Just what? What the fuck is going on? Why you insects? To do this, to me the great Footman-sama. To Footman who couldn't even tell what's left or right now, Diablo delivered one final attack onto him. You're being noisy, shut your trap. As he said that, Footman became unable to speak, as his lower jaw was blown away. Ew, that looked nasty. I'll do this quickly. I shan't cause any more suffering unto you. You too, shall find peace within me. And I devoured him. After saying that, due to Diablo's work of weakening him, consumption of Footman was completed pretty much instantly. It went so easily to the point where he didn't even have the chance for a final struggle. And just as Seal planned, I also successfully obtained ultimate skill Evil Dragon Lord Azzy Dahaka. Kufufufufu. As expected of Rimuru-sama, that was splendidly done. Oh no, this was all you Diablo, you helped weaken him a bunch. And also, good work there Benimaru and Sue. Yes. The three of them kneeled, and acknowledged my commendations. Them doing this every time feels kinda inconvenient to me, but formalities are important to them. And so, the present threat disappears all too easily. Later, this is hard to take in so suddenly, but seriously, just what the heck are those two? Well, we can put the demon aside. But that demon lord is way too unbelievable. Anyone who would actually pick a fight with him, can only be foolhardy or downright insane. This puts the nail in the coffin. I'm now sure Kazarium-sama was definitely brainwashed in some way. I think so too. Kazarium-sama had always been cautious. He'd never antagonize that kind of monster. He would even go out of his way to sneakily push for an alliance in the shadows, that much would be certain. I know, right? He was the devious type who wouldn't think twice over this kinda stuff. The two of them were really letting it all out as though they have realized something important. One of them, the Devil Laplace, was a dangerous fellow who is at least equal to Sue. It might not be a good idea to leave them be. If that's the case, so anyways, you two there. Come work for me, K. I'll just make that decision for them. Wait what are you deciding on your own? Kufufufufu. Are there any problems with that? You know. Laplace looked like he wanted to object, but is at a loss for words before Diablo's smile. He ended up fiddling with his fingers. I was rooting for the girl beside him. You can do it. But she could only quietly say, this is impossible for me. This made me feel kinda sorry for them. Well, you say you're hiring us, so does that mean we can expect to get paid? Then, mind if I ask what you really meant? Hoon, salary. No, that's not what I meant. Who? That's salary, huh? Come to think of it, back at Tempest it's mostly been something like a material reward system. We don't actually have a salary system. I did want to think about it some time back but it got forgotten with all the stuff that's happened. I'll need to discuss with Murmiles about this. Hey, those little details can be discussed at a later time. So, what are your choices then? Understood. Then I shall be in your care. Ah, me too. Laplace and Terre, these two devils are now in my custody. There's no salary just yet, so it kinda looks like they were threatened into being hired. But you lose if you think too deeply about this sort of thing. There's also Diablo who threatened them over with his smile. After all that, we had a little conference, together with the revived Leon. Firstly, for them to keep quiet about me as I'm in hiding. It's obvious, but the alliance will be called off the moment information about me is spread out. This essentially means I'll let their country be destroyed if that happens. This got most of them pale in the face and they nodded in agreement. Me and Diablo are going to go back into hiding after this, so it's important we don't let Velda notice anything. As for Leon's country, they will still continue to battle with the forces which were led by Kazarium. They should be able to at least manage this much. I went and fully healed all the key appointment holders, and the opposition leader has been dealt with too. Benimaru will be returning to Tempest to lead our side again. Sue will be supporting Benimaru. As for Laplace and Terre, I ordered them to stay in Leon's country and help with the defense. They'll help bolster the country that they originally attacked. But the losses weren't as great as initially thought to be, as reinforcements. It's not like there won't be any lingering hatred at all, but I ordered them to keep that stuff to the minimum. I pushed the gratitude they have for me into Leon's face too, to get him to forgive them. It's awfully selfish of me to do this, but that's how I roll. I got them to promise to cooperate, though it was limited to this time only, but this is good enough for now. What comes afterwards can be decided when this great war has been won, and that we survive. Also, though I feel slightly bad for Leon and co. This is also meant to be a test for Laplace and co. I didn't want to divide Tempest's forces any more than it already is, so it's a win-win condition for me. I want them to work hard, and focus on the defense of the countries. Just in case, I get Sue to keep an eye on them. Whether I decide to fully trust Laplace and co. or not, will depend on Sue's report after everything is over. At the bare least, there won't be problems if they don't betray me during the duration of the Great War. There's also the thing about Velda brainwashing Kazarium. It's probably his thought guidance. Which Laplace is pretty mad about, so I don't think he's going to betray me at this point in time. So our plan of action is more or less decided as so, though the agreement from the others have mostly been forcefully smoothed over by me. And thus, the ruckus in Leon's country came to its eventful end.